Is America pulling back from the world stage? Trump's administration considers closing 30 U.S. embassies worldwide, and Africa is not left out. While U.S. is realigning, other powers are rushing to fill the vacuum. Now the question is, how will this unfold? Well, this and many more will be explored in today's Flash News. Good afternoon and welcome. I am Tabitha Ako. Let's begin. In a move that could significantly reshape U.S. global influence, President Trump's administration is considering the closure of nearly 30 embassies and consulates around the world, including key diplomatic posts across Africa, Europe, and Asia. According to an internal State Department document obtained by CNN, this proposed downsizing is part of a broader effort to reduce the size of the federal government, in line with reforms pushed by the Elon Musk-backed Department of Government Efficiency. But as these plans unfold, critics and allies alike are asking, is the United States strategically streamlining its presence or risking long-term diplomatic isolation at a time of rising global competition? Now, the draft proposal recommends the closure of 10 embassies and 17 consulates with diplomatic footprints in places like Lesotho, South Sudan, the Republic of Congo, Malta, and Luxembourg, all on the chopping block. Additionally, consular offices in France, Germany, South Africa, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and South Korea are also under review. In a fragile or strategically significant region such as Iraq and Somalia, the plan proposes a resizing rather than a full withdrawal, raising concerns about how this will impact U.S. counter-terrorism partnerships and regional stability. Although the document suggests that neighboring nations could absorb responsibilities from the shuttered offices, many analysts argue that such consolidations could limit responsiveness, weaken intelligence gathering, and reduce America's diplomatic visibility, especially in areas where China and Russia are expanding their influence. Now, the closures are part of a broader restructuring agenda that envisions a leaner U.S. diplomatic apparatus. The document recommends the creation of flex-style, light footprint posts with smaller staff sizes and specialized roles. It also proposes dual-headed leadership across multi-mission posts such as the U.S. representation to the OECD and UNESCO in Paris to reduce redundancy. Officials reportedly looked at a variety of factors in determining the closures, including facility condition, cost per employee, workload, and regional input. Yet, the lack of clarity from top officials is fueling speculation, which remains uncertainty whether Secretary of State Marco Rubio has formally approved the list of closures. State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce declined to comment directly, stating only that budget decisions remain under White House review. With no firm answers and only 2 ambassadorial nominees named for the affected post, critics argue the administration may be moving forward with a major diplomatic realignment without fully assessing the consequences. But is this effort a necessary modernization of U.S. diplomacy or a politically driven retrenchment that could weaken America's ability to project power abroad? Now, here's the thing. Africa stands to be disproportionately affected. Embassies in countries such as Lesotho, South Sudan, and the Central African Republic, all facing significant political or humanitarian crises, are included on the closure list. The potential withdrawal raises questions about the U.S. long-term commitment on the continent, particularly as China continues to deepen economic and military ties across Africa. Interestingly, embassies and consulates serve not just diplomatic purposes but also offer vital services from visa processing to American citizen support and geopolitical reporting. They are considered essential outposts for both maintaining bilateral relations and shaping policy in regions undergoing conflict, instability, or even transformation. Now, considering this service and the U.S. global reset, can the U.S. maintain global leadership while shrinking its physical diplomatic presence, especially in areas where rivals like Russia and China are filling the vacuum? Russia is on the run, and China is also drawing a line on the sand, and Africa remains the landing space. Well, moving forward, from enemies to allies, Putin lifts ban on Taliban. Is Russia redrawing the map of global power? In a move that signals a significant shift in global diplomacy, Russia's Supreme Court on Thursday removed the Taliban from its official list of terrorist organizations, a designation that had been in place since 2003. The court's decision followed a request by the Prosecutor General's office and marks a diplomatic win for the Taliban, who seized control of Afghanistan in 2021 after the US and NATO troops withdrew. But as Russia seeks deeper ties with Kabul's rulers, one question looms large. Is Russia prioritizing regional stability or legitimizing a regime still under global scrutiny for human rights abuses? Despite the Taliban's long-standing designation as a terrorist group, Russia has hosted Taliban delegations for regional security discussions in recent years, signaling its intention to act as a power broker in Central and South Asia. The legal shift now paves the way for formal diplomatic and economic engagement, especially as the Kremlin seeks to counter US and Western influences in the region. Meanwhile, the court ruling is also a result of a new Russian law adopted last year, allowing courts to suspend terrorist designations. This legal change reflects a growing trend among post-Soviet states. Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan have also removed the Taliban from their terror list, suggesting that regional governments are aligning with practical geopolitics rather than international consensus. Now, will Russia's move encourage other nations to follow suit, potentially fracturing the global consensus on dealing with regimes accused of rights violations? While Russia's ruling strengthens the Taliban's bid for international recognition, their internal governance tells a different story. Since returning to power, the Taliban have reimposed severe restrictions on women and girls, banning them from education beyond the sixth grade and excluding them from most jobs and public spaces. They've also revived public executions and enforced strict interpretations of Sharia law moves that have alienated Western donors and triggered widespread condemnation. Also, the United Nations continues to pressure the Taliban to lift these bans, warning that such policies are crippling Afghanistan's access to foreign aid and deepening the country's humanitarian crisis. Still, the group has managed to forge diplomatic ties with countries like China and the UAE, and recent months have seen renewed interaction with the United States under President Donald Trump, particularly over prisoner swaps and humanitarian channels. Now, can the Taliban balance international engagement with domestic repression, or will one ultimately sabotage the other? Meanwhile, experts are divided on the long-term implications of Russia's decision. Ibrahim Bahiz, a senior analyst at Crisis Group, called the move a legal and commercial enabler rather than a full endorsement. Now, it removes barriers for Russian businesses and politicians who want to engage with Afghanistan. Michael Kugman, a South Asia analyst, said the ruling was not revolutionary. Many countries never formally blacklisted the Taliban but described it as a win-win for both sides. For Russia, it boosts diplomatic leverage and allows it to address concerns about jihadist groups like ISIS Khorasan. For the Taliban, it provides a symbolic win they can use to show international acceptance of their regime. Now, as global power centers increasingly act outside of traditional Western frameworks, Russia's decision could signal the start of a new phase in Taliban diplomacy, one where legitimacy is gained not by reform, but by strategic alignment. Moving over to Italy. In a devastating accident that has shocked Italy and the international community, 4 people were killed and 1 critically injured on Thursday when a cable car on the Montefeltro line plunged into a ravine in southern Italy. Officials say the incident occurred after a cable snapped during severe weather, sending the cabin carrying 2 couples and a maintenance worker hurtling into the valley below. But as rescue teams rushed through high winds and dense fog to locate the wreckage, one question emerged. Was this a strategic one caused by nature or the result of deeper infrastructure and safety oversight failures in Italy's tourism sector? The accident took place near Castellammare di Sabai between Naples and Taranto, on a road popularly for its panoramic views of Vesuvius and the Bay of Naples. According to Campania Regional President Vincenzo Di Luca, the cable snapped in the midst of severe weather, causing the gondola to strike a pylon and then a construction crane before crashing into the ravine. Sadly, one survivor, described as being in critical condition, was airlifted to a hospital in Naples, while 16 other passengers were successfully evacuated from cable cars trapped beneath the brake. Fortunately, there were no cabins above the snapped cable at the time of the incident. First responders battled harsh environmental conditions, including fog and strong winds, which delayed access to the crash site for more than 90 minutes. The rescue operation required helicopters and coordination among multiple emergency services. Foreign tourists and local workers were among those rescued. Now, the cable car system had only recently reopened on April 10th, following extensive renovations. This timing now raises difficult questions for both engineers and regulators alike. How could a newly renovated system fail to catastrophically, and where safety protocols compromised or underestimated amid reopening efforts? Meanwhile, Italy's President of the Senate, Ignazio La Russa, expressed his condolences online to the families of the victims and his gratitude also to all the rescuers involved. Meanwhile, an investigation has been launched by the local prosecutor's office to determine what role or technical flaws or human error played in the crash. Meanwhile, rail lines connecting the Sorrento and Amalfi coast to Naples have been suspended as authorities assess related infrastructure risks. This tragedy invokes painful memories of similar cable car disasters in Italy, including the 2021 Motorone crash, which killed 14 people and revealed major safety negligence, including the disabling of emergency brakes. Now bringing you to the conclusion of this report. As Italy positions itself as a hub for global tourism, can its infrastructure withstand the weight of increased traffic, climate risks, and aging system, or is a larger national review of transport safety long overdue? Think about that. Well, until next time, this is where I'll be drawing the curtain on today's Flash News. Remember, I'll be bringing you recent happenings from the home front on Undaunted at the top of the hour, 8 p.m. Until then, do have a pleasant day and stay safe.